We are catching up the Amud from Sunday, the 10th day of the month of Kislev. For some of you, it is still Sunday. But we are continuing from the discussion that the Gemara is having at the bottom of Samach Zayin Amud Beis, where the Gemara was discussing the relationship between a Bal Keri and a Maga Sheretz, quoting from the Mishnah in Zavim. What we had mentioned before yesterday is that a Zav and a Bal Keri are compared to each other with regards to the Machnos, and that Rabbi Yochanan had a Maimer. Rabbi Yochanan had said that a Bal Keri is sent out of two Machnos, that the Bal Keri is the same din as a Zav. And the Mishnah in Zavim had taught us that a Bal Keri is like a Maga Sheretz. Somebody that touches a Sheretz is the same as a Bal Keri. Says the Gemara on Daf Samach Zayin base, just catching us up to where we're at. The Mishnah there says that must be with regards to their machanos. Says, and that would be against what Rabbi Yochanan has just taught us. Says the Gemara, no, that's what the din of Tumah. That's related to the din of Tumah. That them have Tumas Eretz, and the Gemara challenged them. They said, "What do you mean that they don't have 7 days? Then they have Tumas Eretz. That's Mefurish Pasuk. It must be for the Machanos." And then the Gemara said, "No, it means that they both Metame Ba'onis. That they're both Metame Ba'onis, and it's not talking about the Machanos." And Rabbi Yochanan's Meimer is still good and well. If that is so, that what we're talking about here is with regards to the length of their tumah. So the last word on Samach Zayin Amud Beis says the Gemara Meisive. We have an objection from the rest of that Mishnah in Zavim. The rest of the Mishnah says Bol Nida Ke Tmei Meis, that a person that is Bol Nida is the same as a Meis. Says the Gemara Lemai, for what din? If you're talking about for the Tumah, both of them have Tumah Shiva. You cannot say that they have that we are talking about the length of their Tumah. It must be with regards to their Machanos, meaning that a Bol and a Tmei Meis, both of them are sent out of the Machane Shechina V'zehu. They don't have to be sent out of the Machane Levi and the Machane Yisrael. And if that is so, then the theme of this Mishnah is talking about people being sent out of the Machanos, and that would mean that a Bal Keri is like a Tamei Sheretz, which means that he should only be sent out of one Machane, not two Machanos. Says the Gemara, it must be it must be talking about their Machanos. Says the Gemara, it would be the Sev Machanos, and if the end of the Mishnah is clearly talking about being sent out of Machanos, so then the ratio of the Mishnah is also talking about the Machanos, meaning this Mishnah is now directly in contradistinction to the Shita of Rabbi Yochanan, that a Bal Keri and a Zav have the same din. Says the Gemara, Midi Iri, really? That's a good proof? So Hakadisa. No, maybe each side of the Mishnah is just talking about the thing that's relevant to it. There's no of the Mishnah when we are making comparisons. They are in some ways like this and in some ways like that. And it could be that Sheretz, that a Matame Sheretz and a Bal Keri have the same din in that they are Ba'onis. And it could be that a Bal Nida and a Tmei Meis have the same din with regards to us. It doesn't mean that there is an overarching theme of the Mishnah. Nevertheless, says the Gemara, okay, if that's so, Meisive, we have an objection. Mitzora Chamer Mizav. Mitzora is sent out of all three camps. V'zav Chamer Mitame Meis. And a Zav is more Chamer than a Tmei Meis. So far, we have the hierarchy being Mitzora is the most severe, Zav a little less, and Tmei Meis a little less. Yatza Bal Keri, and then the Mishnah says, Yatza Bal Keri, that excludes a Bal Keri. Shetame Meis Chomer Mena, that a Tame Meis is more strict than a Bal Keri. What does that mean? What does it mean that a Tame Meis is more strict than a Bal Keri? Says the Gemara. Hold on 1 second. Lost the place over here. There we go. So, yeah, says the Gemara as follows: Tame is Chomer my yatza. What does it mean that he is excluded? So the Mitzvah is Mochamer than a Zav is Mochamer than a Tamei Meis, and Yatza Balkari Shetamei Meis Chamer. The Tamei Meis is Mochamer. What does Yatza mean? So Lav Yatza Michlal Zav Uvba Lichlal Tamei Meis. Does that not tell you that he is leaving the category of Zav and he enters the category of Tamei Meis, which means that he is more likened to a Tamei Meis. The Tamei Meis Chamer men, the Tamei Meis is more Chamer than him. And yet the Tamei Meis is allowed in the Machane Levi. He's only sent to the Machane Shechina, and that would mean that a Balkari is more likened to a Tamei Meis in that he is allowed in the Machane Levi, and that would be against Rabbi Yochanan. Says the Gemara, no, not true. It means that he is excluded from the category of the Tamei Meis, and he is included in the category of Zav. Meaning, he can only be in the machanos of the Zav, he cannot be in the machanos of the Tamei Meis. Even though the Tamei Meis is more chamer than him, b'machane levia, he's allowed to be in the machane levia. Mutter b'machane levia. Lemai medamele. Even though he is more, even though he is not allowed to be in the machane levia, he is compared to he's compared to a Zav because that is his din. Meaning, both of them have the din of a person that is has a discharge that comes from them. So far, Rabbi Yochanan is safe, and the Mishnahs and the Brises do not disagree with him in either direction. What we have here is that a Tamei Meis is sent out of the Machane Shechina, a Balkari and a Zav, Sorry. Yosef Machane, Tamei Meis v'nichnas Machane Zav. V'afagav the Tamei Meis Chamer, even though the Tamei Meis is more Chamer than him, Mutar Machane Levi, he is allowed in the Machane Levia, meaning that he is allowed in the Machane Levia. Okay. Says the Gemara as follows. Tani Tanam Kamer de Rav Yitzchak bar Avdimi. They taught this in front of Rav Yitzchak bar Avdimi. Pasuk says as follows. V'yatza el michutz lamachane, he has to be sent out of the machane. Zu machane shechina. That refers to the machane shechina, meaning the Balkari has to be sent to the machane shechina. Lo yovu el ta, and he shouldn't come into the machane. Zu machane levia. This is the machane levia. Mikan the Balkari sheyatza chutz l'shtei machanos. From here you see that the Balkari has to be sent out of two machanos. He's not allowed even in the machane levia. He has the din of a zav and not like a Tamei Meis. Amar lei, so he said to him, Akasi loi a yalte afikte. You haven't even brought him in, and you've already kicked him out. Meaning, if you're going to read the pasuk like that, the order is wrong. The order is wrong. Or lishnachrina, alternatively, the challenge here is Akasi loi afikte. You haven't yet kicked him out. Ayalte. Now you're discussing whether or not he's allowed to come in. Meaning the order of the pasuk is it seems to be unsupportive of this drasha. Ela ema. Rather, the correct way is to say it as follows: Michutz lemachane. What does the pasuk mean? Michutz lemachane. Zu machane levia. He has to be outside of the machane levia. Lo yava el techa machane, and he shouldn't come into the machane. Zu machane shechina. This is the machane shechina. That's the that's the correct way to read the pasuk. Michutz lemachane means zu machane levia, that is, he's got to be outside of the machane levia. Lo yava el techa machane, and he's not allowed into the machane zu machane shechina. He has to leave the machane shechina. Maskef lo Ravina. So Ravina challenged this whole drasha. He says, Ema, maybe you say idivid le machane shechina. Maybe both of them are talking about the machane shechina. V'lavar alav be'esei. Maybe he's violating both an essay and a lois essay. Meaning, when it says that michutz lemachane, he has to go outside of the camp, that's that's a chiyuv. He is obligated to, and he's not allowed to come into the machane. That gives him an iser. Maybe both of them are true, and both of them are talking about the machane shechina. Says the Gemara, im kain, if that would be so, Lemekro the pasuk should have said v'yatza el michutz lemachane. He should go out to the machane v'lo yava and not enter. Meaning, that would be the correct what it said. He should be sent out, and he shouldn't come in. Why does it say that he shouldn't? Why does it say he shouldn't come into the machane? To tell you that there's another machane. The word machane here is used twice. If the pasuk would simply have said so that would have told me he shouldn't come back in, and it would be speaking of the same machane. But the fact that it says that tells you that there are two machanas that we are talking about here. And what comes out halach l'maisa is that a balkari has a din of a zav, and therefore he is not allowed into the machane levia. Nafgemina halach l'maisa, with regards to going up to har habayis bisman hazeh. Today, nobody has the ephod para aduma, so we cannot rid ourselves of tumas meis, which means that we are unable to go into the machane shechina, meaning the area that the Beis HaMikdash stood, wherever that might be. Tak amas, 500 by 500 amas, however big an amma is, okay. But har habayis has the din of machane levia, and therefore a balkari would have to tovel and have wait for harav shemesh, and then they'd be able to go into the machane levia, because a balkari has the din of a zav and not the din with regards to which camps he's not allowed into, not the din of a tamim meis. Okay. Now the Mishnah had said, back into the dinim of the Mishnah, that one of the things that you were allowed to do for the Karban Pesach on the Erev Pesach Chalas B'Shabbos was called michui kravav, which is cleaning out of the innards, the bowels of the animal. That was allowed, and that was in order to ensure that the animal didn't putrefy, didn't become disgusting, as a result of the food that was inside of it when you were taking it home, that it didn't rot, it didn't become gross. Now the Gemara wants to know, what exactly was this process? What was this din? What did you do during michui kravav? Says Gemara, my michui kravav. What does this mean, michui kravav? Rav Huna says shemenakvan besafkin. You perforated the intestines with a knife, and then all of the liquid that was there came out. Chir Barav says no. It means sirka be me'aya. It meant scraping out of the solid waste that was inside of it, the mucousy stuff that was grossly inside. The nafka avaduchta, the zakina that comes out through the pressure of the knife, meaning you have to scrape it, you have to clean it up. Amar Rebbe Lazar, says Rebbe Lazar, my time the chibarav. What is the rationale behind the chibarav? Why does he say the michui kravav means scraping it out? The pasuk says in Yeshayahu in the 5th parak, "V'charvas mechim gerim yochelu," that the charvas mechim, that the gerim, the strangers will consume the charvas mechim, the destruction of the mechim. What exactly are mechim? That's the lashon that we are going to be comparing here, which is michui kravav, cleaning out of the michui, where he said that it meant cleaning up all of the waste. My mashma, Rav Yosef, like Rav Yosef translated, v'nichsehem derish'a tzadikai yachsenun, that the property of the wicked people, tzadikim, are going to inherit. And you see, the pasuk is referred to as the pasuk is referring to mechim, charvus mechim, as risha, meaning gross things, despicable people, and that's the translation of mechim, means gross things, disgusting things. So it says that. So when the Mishnah says michui, it means cleaning out of the gross stuff. So either rishaim or waste inside of the intestines, but it's the same way. The end of the pasuk is. And we're going to discuss the end of the pasuk since we're talking about this pasuk. V'ra'u kvasim kidabram, and lambs are going to graze. Kidabram means like in their pastures. So Amar Menashe bar Yirmiyah, Amar Rav, says Menashe bar Yirmiyah in the name of Rav. Kidabram means kimedubar bam, like those about which it was spoken, meaning, in accordance with the promise that was made to the Jewish people, Kim Medubar Bam. Says the Gemara, my Kim Medubar Bam, those that are spoken of. Amar Abaye says the charbus mechim gerim yochlu, the charbus of the mechim, the spoils, the waste, the spoils of the Rishaim, the gerim are going to eat. It means the Kimedubar Bam, that the tzaddikim are going to come and they're going to inherit that which that Kimedubar Bam means the tzaddikim, and they are going to inherit that which the Rishaim, once they were wiped out, have left behind. Amalei Rava says to him, Bishlam iksiv charbos. If the pasuk would have said charbos, like the destroyed places, the wastelands, if the pasuk would have said charvos, wastelands, that would have been good and well. That would have made sense. Hash the dichsiv vicharvos, but it doesn't say charvos. It says vicharvos and the charvos. That means milsa achrina kamar. It means that we are talking about something else. What is this something else that we are adding? What is the Navi Yeshayahu adding to this pasuk? Ela Amar Rav says Kederav Chanana, like Rav Chanana says Amar Rav in the name of Rav. Amar Chanana Amar Rav says Rav Chanana in the name of Rav. Atim tzadikim shi yichyu es amesim. In the future, the tzadikim are going to bring the dead back to life. That's going to be the kach of the tzadikim in the future. How does this have to do with Chavos Mechim Gerim Yochlu? And what does it mean Kimedubar Bam? So the pasuk says, Ksiv Hacha, the pasuk says, V'ra'u kvasim kedabram. Pasuk says here, this pasuk in Yirmiyahu, V'ra'u kvasim kedabram, that sheep are going to graze as is said of them. Ksiv Hasam, and the pasuk says there the pasuk says in Micha in the 7th parak, pasuk says Yiru Bashan v'Gilad kimei olam, that Bashan and Gilad are going to graze kimei olam like they did once upon a time. So what exactly is Bashan and Gilad? Says the Gemara, Bashan, this is how Rav is explaining in the name of Rav Chanana. Bashan ze Elisha. Bashan is a reference to Elisha Hanavi, Abba min Bashan, who came from the Bashan. Shneimar v'yanu v'shafat v'Bashan, that v'yanai v'shafat v'Bashan. The Yanai and Shafat are in the Bashan. Uksiv, and the pasuk says there, Pai Elisha ben Shafat asher yatzak mayim al yidei Eliyahu. The pasuk says, Pai Elisha ben Shafat. Elisha is the son of Shafat that comes that poured water on the hands of Eliyahu. So you see that Shafan, the Bashan is a reference to Elisha that comes from the Bashan. Elisha ben Shafat coming from the Bashan. And Gilad, pasuk says that they're going to graze like once upon a time, like Bashan and Gilad. What's Gilad? Gilad ze Eliyahu. Shenema, the pasuk says, "Vayomer Eliyahu hatishbi min toshvei haGilad." So says Eliyahu, the Tishbi of the residents of the Gilad. So Eliyahu ha-Giladi. So you see that we are going to have grazing like once upon a time. That's the Gzera Shalva of grazing and grazing like once upon a time in the days of Eliyahu and Elisha, both of whom were famous for bringing the dead back to life. And that is the reference in this pasuk that Yeshayahu is referring to. Amar Rabbi Shmuel bar Nachmani, Amar Rabbi Yonasan, says Rabbi Shmuel bar Nachmani in the name of Rabbi Yonasan, Asidim tzadikim sheyichyu meisim. You have another raya that the tzadikim are going to bring the dead back to life. Shenemar, pasuk says, Od Yesh was again as Beruchavas Yerushalayim, famous pasuk. One day it'll be, and I'll be seeing a little bit later this afternoon, walking through the streets of Yerushalayim. The Nevuah coming to fruition. This great vision of Zechariah Navi. That one day the old men and old women will be sitting in the streets of Yerushalayim. And each person will have mishantai biyadai, his stick in his hand, mirov yamim, because of his great age. Uksiv, in the pasuk says, "V'samta mishanti al panei hanar," that you will put my stick on the face of the nar. That is what Elisha told Gehazi to go and do, to put my stick on the face of the nar in order to bring him back to life. Kasha on this, just kedai to remember. that didn't work. It didn't work. He had to come himself. But nevertheless, the pasuk is saying Elisha wanted to bring the boy back to life as a result of the mishanas, as a result of his stick. And the reason that he didn't, it seems from Chazal, that it was not because of the Eliyahu, it was because Gehazi was not right to deliver the snakes. Nevertheless, you see that from mishanas and mishanas that there's going to be Tchias HaMesim through the tzaddikim. Ula Rami. Ula would ask the following kasha. Ksiv, the pasuk says, with regards to Tchias HaMesim and whether or not people are going to die in the days of Mashiach. The pasuk says, Bila hamavis lanetzach, that death will be swallowed up completely, forever. Ksiv, and the pasuk says, Ki hanar ben mea shana yomas, that a nar is going to be 100 years old and die. Meaning, this is the pasuk in Yeshaya in the 65th parak. The pasuk says, "Lo yimalei yisham ki hanar ben mea shana yomus, v'chayte ben mea shana yikulal." That you'll have a youth will die 100 years old, meaning people are going to live a very, very long time, but not that they are not going to die. Says Ula lo kasha. No problem. Kan Yishal kan be'akum. Here we're talking about Yishal, and here we're talking about that there'll be a time that Jews will be living forever, and non-Jews that the will be living a very, very long time. Says the Gemara. Hold on a second. But whatever stage of history we are talking about here, but what are they doing there? Meaning, if the Jewish people are living forever, what stage of history we're talking about? That you're going to have Ovdei Kachavim that are still sticking around. The pasuk says, "Va'amdu zarim v'rotzechem uvnei nechar achrichem v'charimechem." That the zarim are going to stand up and they are going to plow your fields, and they're gonna tend to your flocks, and the sons of Nechar are going to be your farmers, and your vintners. They're going to take care of your wines, and you're going to take care of your vines, and they're going to take care of your farms. Meaning that there is going to be a stage of history that the Jewish people are going to live forever, and we're going to have Ovdei Kachavim Mazalos that are going to be tending our flocks. Rav Chisda Rami, Rav Chisda asked the following question. See the pasuk says, that the Levana is going to be ashamed, is going to be and the moon is going to be ashamed, and the sun. Hold on a second. And the sun is going to be, and the sun is going to be. Hold on, I got a call here. Hold on one moment. Okay, sorry about that. That the moon is going to be embarrassed, and is going to be ashamed. The moon is going to be embarrassed. Because even the pasuk says, that the light of the moon is going to be like the light of the sun, and the light of the sun is going to be sevenfold, or 7 times 7, like the days of like the first 7 days. So what's it going to be? Either they're going to be embarrassed or they're going to be super enhanced. Like Hasha says with Chisda, now there's a difference between Olam Haba and Yemas Mashiach. Meaning Yemas Mashiach, it would seem to be the in Olam Haba there's not going to be sun and moon anymore. That's going to be finished. And in Yemas Mashiach it's going to be super enhanced. Meaning Yemas Mashiach is still going to have a sun and moon, but it's going to be super duper enhanced, and Olam Haba is not going to have any of it. Okay, says the Gemara. Shmuel, the Amar, according to Shmuel, says the famous Shita of Shmuel, that there's no difference between this world and the days of Mashiach, except for Shibud Malchios, except for us being under the subservience of foreign nations. What are you going to say? How do you resolve this pasuk? Says the Gemara, both of this is talking about olam haba. Both pasukim are talking about olam haba, like kasha, and there is no difference. No, it depends. In the machane shechina, there's not going to be any sun and moon. It's just going to be the radiance of HaKadosh Baruch Hu. In the machane tzadikim, it's going to be super enhanced sun and moon. Rava asked the following kasha. So the pasuk says, "Ani amis v'achaya." This is the pasuk in Parashat Zino. Ani amis v'achaya. I will, I cause death and I bring to life. Because the pasuk says, "Machatzi v'anayipah." I wound and I heal. Hashda ichui mechaye. Ichui mechaye merape l'kolsken. It's a kasha. How does the pasuk make sense? It's going in the opposite order. If HaKadosh Baruch Hu brings the dead back to life, so then obviously he heals. So Ella Amar HaKadosh Baruch Hu says Hashem, Ma she'ani memis ani chayeh. That which I kill, I bring back to life. Just like I heal people that I have caused to become sick, that I've caused to become wounded. Meaning, if you want to know how Ches HaMesim is going to happen, just take a look at the fact that I heal people. And then on the Brayso says as follows: Ani amis v'achaya. I cause people to die. I put people to death, and I bring them back to life. Maybe it means that I kill this person, and I bring another person back to life, like meaning that people die and then other people live. Meaning Hashem says, I do both of these things, but it's not talking about the same person. The pasuk says, I wound and I heal, and that's talking about the same person. Just like you have sickness and healing with one person. So you have Misa and Chaim with the same one person. And this is a dead giveaway that tells you it's a raya from the Torah, Mefurish in the Torah, that Chias HaMesim is a concept from the Torah. There are those that denied in the Eitzul Chazal that Chias HaMesim was a biblical concept. So it says the Gemara, yeah, that's obviously a biblical concept because you see it from the way that the pasuk reads, that Ani amis, I kill, v'achia, and I bring back to life, the same way that I wound and I heal. Davar acher, another way of learning this, v'tchila ma she'ani memis, ani mechayeh, that which I kill, I bring back to life. V'hadar, then ma she'machatzi ani epa, and then those that I've wounded, I will heal, meaning that when we come back to life during Ches HaMesim, we will come back with all of our with all of our sicknesses, and then HaKadosh Baruch Hu will heal us. Some of the Mefarshim explain because if a person were to come back without their former issues, without their former sicknesses, people wouldn't know who's who. So you come back, the guy that lost his leg is going to come back without his leg, and then HaKadosh Baruch Hu is going to give him his leg back, and that way everybody will know who everybody is. To be continued. With the next part of the sugya, which is on the very next page. We have hit the bottom of Samach Chesam Aleph, continuing a little bit later this afternoon today, probably from Yerushalayim, and looking forward to learning with you later.